USA has finally won a freaking World Cup match since 2014. I cannot describe the feeling. In the very morning when I knew about the lineup of just how everything was going to be, I just don't know. I had zero words. It's almost like nervousness and excitement all at once. Welcome to Kicking Balls FC, guys. Welcome. And thank you for joining me at this late evening. Sorry I couldn't come earlier. I wish I was able to, but was busy with work, and also I had a chance to review the actual game because I was actually at work, like I said before. But let's dive into it, man. Let us dive into it. So, one of the things so far, the one thing that stands out first is the lineup, right? The lineup itself. So, the lineup was something that was very unexpected. There was actually a rumor saying that there was going to be no MLS player in the starting 11 for the United States, right? And when they get the 11 out, look at the 11. We got Matt Turner on goal. Matt Turner as the Arsenal goalkeeper, the backup one. Serginho Dest, AC Milan. Tyler Adams, Leeds United. Anthony Robinson from Fulham. Yunus Musa, Valencia. Weston McKennie, Juventus. Christian Pulisic, Chelsea. Tim Ream, Fulham. CCV, Celtic. Tim Weah, Lille, and Josh Sargent from Norwich City. If you notice, the entire starting 11 of the United States for the very first time in its history had no MLS players at all. It was just something of beauty, right? And we're going to go through the game right now, but I just want to tell you like how I lived through the game. So I was working, right? And I was very busy making sure that I was like checking up on my phone updates, making sure that if I had a time on my break that I was watching the video. I couldn't actually watch it. I tried to stream it, but the stream was just pretty bad in general. So what I was doing was I was listening in the radio, a channel called Fútbol de Primera, which is a Spanish radio station that plays all of the uh, World Cup games, but in Spanish. But let me tell you, if you understand Spanish, you don't even have to understand it. It literally feels that you're running with the players in every freaking like pass or movement. It's almost like giving you an anxiety attack. And it almost felt like Andres Cantor was the one doing the narration, but no, he was actually doing the narration on TV. And I think he was actually recovering from an ailment. That's what he said on his Twitter. But him and his son, Nicker Cantor, cheers for you guys, the father and son duo that do narration, soccer commentary. They were with the USA from the beginning. So I was, doing work and then listening this, and then I had to go back. So I couldn't. I only basically maybe saw like the very first 30 minutes of the game, and I was just listening to it, and then I was looking at replays, like on Twitter, and I was looking at Tactical Manager. Listened to the radio. It was just a bad idea in general because it was just giving me more and more anxiety. The more I saw it, so I was actually texting some friends as well, and they were telling me it's like, "Oh my gosh, Pulisic almost got it." I was like, the United States looks lethal. They look good, and then I got to go back to work, right? And I'm doing my job, and I have a lot of people that I work with, and I get a notification, and it doesn't say anything. It just says the American flag. And later, before they were showing the American flag, when they were singing the national anthem, I didn't know what it meant. And then immediately, uh, basically, uh, I just hear from the cross of the room, "Goal!" And I'm like, Who scored it? Like, who scored it?" And then it started saying, Pulisic, Pulisic. And he says he sacrificed his balls to get the ball in the net. I didn't know what it meant. And then when I see the replay, I literally go like, "Oh my gosh, he did get kicked in the nuts. He got kneed in the nuts." Christian Pulisic, right? He sacrificed his future children to get that goal. And it was such a beautiful sequence. Like I saw the beginning, it actually started all the way from Matt Turner, and it was almost like tiki taka. Tiki taka. That was like the most beautiful orchestrated goal, even more beautiful than the one they scored against Wales. And it actually reminded me so much of a goal they scored like that against Jamaica in World Cup qualifying, where it started all the way from the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper, passed the ball, and it was Serginho Dest, and then Yunus Musa combining with Anthony Robinson, then McKennie, then Dest, and then Dest crossed it to Christian Pulisic. Beautiful orchestrated goal, by the way. And I was just jumping for joy, but then a lot of the coworkers didn't know what I was like celebrating about. Now they're not a lot of soccer fans, just a couple of them, right? And oh man, I was excited. I was excited. And then as the game go on, they said that Christian Pulisic might be, heading out because it was getting really hard for him to get off, to continue playing. And you know, eh, tell anybody if you ever get kicked hard enough or get kneed hard enough on the nuts, tell me how hard it is to keep on playing or even standing up. Like you're done. Like I'm sorry, you're done because when you get when you're running that fast and you get hit like that, I'm sorry, you're done. It's almost like the air is taking out of you and it's just this pain that you just can't block. Like not even that magical spray like that magical spray that you see that they spray it's like a icy spray on the like knee and everything or anywhere injured. Even that is not gonna uh you know make that feel better. I'm sorry. Like the only way to make it feel better is to like freaking put like some sort of ointment and put it in the balls. But then we're like literally going into really bad territory there, right? But Pulisic was, you know, uh, he was a soldier. He played through it until the very end of the first half, and at the before the end of the half, Tim Weah had a goal that was called offside, and it was very debatable. I don't trust the VAR. I don't understand. I think it was just like the arm shouldn't or even the leg shouldn't be offside. Like I think if your whole body is there, it should be considered offside. But for me, it was onside. I think they stole another goal from Weah. He was onside in my opinion. So we were up 1-0, and I had a couple of more minutes where I had a break for like 15 until I had to do something else, and I was just sweating bullets because the substitutions that Greg was doing wasn't convincing because no Gio Reyna at all in the entire second half. Are you kidding me? We needed Gio at least to kill off the game. I don't think we could hold on to 1-0. I think we were playing so much Berhalter ball in the second half that it was stressful. And it was hard because when I was going back to work, I really wanted to know what was going on in the game, but then I was hearing it on the radio. I was hearing it from tactical manager and 11 Yanks, their live watch along. And I was just nervous and I was just holding on to my scarf. This is an old school scarf from the old emblem, says United States, right? And it was just celebrating. And then I was hearing how close Iran was to getting a tie, and I was just a nervous wreck. Then, as I continued to get busy on my work, I totally had to. I couldn't focus on the game because I couldn't even hear it on the radio because I had to like really focus. And as the time went on, I'm looking at the clock. I was like, all right, it's around 1 o'clock because the game started at 11. Usually it's 2 hours because it's 45, 90 minutes. Um, you know, uh, like it's the game is almost over. So then I'm just looking like the time. just winding down, and then I'm like hearing football de primera because I had time to hear it. And then I was still doing working out, but I had to put it on mute, so I was only looking at the graph, like the I won't say graph, but it was basically like a virtual online pitch description of what was going on in the game, right? And it said that it added 9 minutes of added time, and I was just, oh my gosh, I was nervous. I don't know why uh they added 9 minutes. I'm like, oh my gosh, it don't like, and we were like the subs weren't working, and Gio Reyna wasn't one of the five subs, and I was just, I don't know what was going on. So um the 9 minutes continued, it was over, and I literally broke down in tears and was happy, and my coworkers were like, "What's wrong? Are you everything okay? Did something happen?" And I'm like, "The USA won." And they're like, "What did you mean?" "The USA won. They won." I was like, "Ah, they won. They won. They won. The 8 years of suffering, 8 years of not making the World Cup." I'm even tearing up a little bit just remembering 8 years of just humiliation, 8 years of pain, 8 years of just remembering Kova, and remembering the pain that Christian Pulisic had, and how much he worked hard for it. He worked for F like 8 effing years to try to set things right. But mostly if I would say 4 or 6, because he started playing in like 2017. But just added to the equation, he there was like this huge pressure on him to basically, um, you know, just get the result, and it happened. It happened, and when it was all said and done, it was just magical. It was magical, and like I said, when the final whistle rang and it was over, I just remember what he said. Always remember the tweet he said, and I think I could actually pull it up. I actually have it on Instagram. I'm sorry I can't post it there for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on. Um, but I'm gonna read the post, the Instagram post that Christian Pulisic put right after the humiliation of Kova. When in Kova, uh, you know, when everything went wrong and everybody was just shocked, and you know, it was like the darkest and the most depressed soccer experience I've ever experienced in my entire life. Like, because I've always loved this team ever since '94, ever since I've seen a soccer game. The very first USA game I ever saw was at the Rose Bowl when they played against Colombia, and they beat Colombia 2-1, and they advanced to the round of 16. But then the thing is that when that happened, I was still getting, used to soccer. 98, I loved it, and I loved the way Brazil played. I liked the way that France played. The US wasn't. I remember we did have a team, but they didn't think about it. And I'm trying to see if I can find that that message he said, because it was such a powerful statement when he did, and he wrote it, like a huge paragraph of it, in which he himself said that he wanted to, promise to everyone that he wanted to, I guess, to summarize it, that he didn't have any words of what happened in qualification, that all he was thinking about was to qualify, right? So I'm trying to see if I can find it. I thought I had it saved somewhere. I'm gonna see if I can find it, because I know I could find it. It's just it's probably very far down on the thing. I have to go probably way low. But anyway, as I was saying, like I fell in love with the USA team in '94. That's when I started loving soccer. '98. That's when it opened my eyes. I always remember the Ricky Martin, the Cup of Life, La Copa de la Vida song. That is still by far the best World Cup song that has ever been produced. Don't quote. You can quote me on that. Like no other song, not Waka Waka, not the waving flag, not whatever the Brazil one was. No, none of that. And what can I say? So that's what I remember about that, and it was like one of my favorite songs, and I loved like learning about different flags, different countries, about soccer. And it wasn't until 2002, when the World Cup was in Korea and Japan, where I was following the World Cup closely, and that's when I was getting up early in the morning at like 1 or 2 in the morning Pacific time to watch Brazil and to watch the United States get that upset against Portugal. That's the moment I became forever a USA fan. I would think that would cement it. I think when it was USA versus Colombia in '94, I was 4 years old. I loved the game, but I didn't quite understand it. Let's see. So that's when I started like really closely following I'm trying to figure out. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to look for the thing. Personal. Just give me 1 sec, guys. I'm trying to find it. Okay, so here we go. I think I found it. So I'm gonna read it. This is his words. This was back in 2017. This was actually a couple of days after the United States failed to qualify for the World Cup. It's just loading. But as it loads, I remember following the US team, and when they beat Mexico, that famous 2-0 result that was very iconic. Then I followed them during the Gold Cup, the World Cup qualifying in 2006. Very disappointed of how 2006 ended in Germany. But I loved that they put up a brave fight against Italy. One of like the most historic games. And I have to add that the United States was the only team that Italy didn't beat. But somehow Italy did make it to the World Cup final and did win their 4th World Cup. So, let's see. So I think it's here. I'm just trying to like load it up. I don't know why it's taking so long, but it'll load up. And then fast forward to 2010. That was probably one of the best US teams that I remember, in which Landon Donovan made that iconic Algeria goal. But I remember even when they went to World Cup qualifying and they did not lose a home game, and they actually went down to Honduras to qualify, to put their pen in there, and they helped Honduras get into the World Cup by tying Costa Rica in the last minute. And what I liked about that US team, they were the only team in qualifying that actually made more goals from the 80th minute and over. No other team even had half of that. So they could have done it. So let's see. So he said, let's see. I'm trying to get the message here. So in 2007, 17, I should say, he basically made a promise that he's gonna plan for 2022. And it's like, get your basements ready, mark it down, we will be there, right? And here's bits and pieces, like for a soccer player, ask anyone, they'll tell you that those age 16, 18-year-olds are everything. From development perspective, it's almost at this sweet spot. And then he says, in the US system, too often the best player on the under 17 team will be treated as a star, not having to work for the ball, being focused on offense at times, yada, yada, yada. So he was talking about how to, grow the game, how to get better. And, leaving to go abroad was such a tough thing, but it shows character. And that, he will be focusing on nothing but qualifying for the World Cup. That was his mission from the start. And he did it. And I remember he says, I want to make sure that I am going to focus nothing but getting to the World Cup. That's what I want to do. And he says, he closes his anecdote about winning. I've really been that's my whole life, obsessed with winning, no matter what I be doing, whether if it's a game of horse with my dad, or capture the flag as a little kid, or FIFA with my friends, or a match with Dortmund. The idea of needing to win, it would eat me, which isn't easy to say. I'd even win all the time. I'm not even good at FIFA, but I'll get so angry about it and consumed at it if I'm doing a thing that I want to be the best of it. I'm not sure what that means, but that's just who I am. And he did it. He sacrificed his balls to get there, right? So it was amazing. So let's get to the nitty gritty. Sorry, I went a little bit overboard. So that was the starting 11, right? And they were talking about different tacticians. Like, you see Serginho Dest, you see Musa. Musa actually had a happy birthday, Yunus Musa. He actually was celebrating his 20th birthday, and what better birthday present than getting 3 points? And then you see everybody. You see the president of the United States saying, "Go Team USA," right? And then they were telling you who the best lineup was, and this were our boys, and they were doing it. And they were having chances, and then that iconic thing, Christian Pulisic, and that was the goal. And the 38th minute of the game, but the United States were already pressuring early. This is the thing I like about this team. They're very dynamic on the wings, and they will, and the midfield is their strongest suit. They boss that midfield, and I think if we would, when we get that quality striker like Lewandowski, like a Ronaldinho, or Mueller, just a striker, or a Ronaldo, like a 9, like the classic Ronaldo, the Brazilian Ronaldo, just a 9 that is just a menace. That you give him half a chance, he'll bury it. And then the Chipotle actually didn't win. I kind of wish they did. And you can kind of see where he got hit. And then here you could kind of see where the sequence is. It goes over the top, hits it, and then he gets hit and the ball's right there. Boom. And that had to hurt. But then that that header that he got was really, really good. In that sequence that starts, I'm telling you, that was the best thing ever. And then Timo was just offside. I still believe he was onside. The VAR has been very weird. I have a feeling that if it wasn't for those questionable VARs, some of these games would have already been more interesting. And I would even argue that Argentina would have won that game against Saudi Arabia, and we'd be talking about a whole different situation for Argentina. They probably would have already been qualified to get to the round of 16. And the substitution, Aronson comes in to Pulisic, which they say that Pulisic had an abdominal injury. That's just a very fancy word to getting kicked like in the stomach right here or in the balls. I would say groin injury, in my opinion, because that's where it feel like it. But I would have put Gio Reyna. I don't know why. In what universe does Berhalter live in which you can't replace Pulisic, right? He's a player, but if there's one player that has the potential that could play as Pulisic or even go higher than Pulisic, it's Gio Reyna. I think he should have had at least a good 30 minutes, right? And then another substitution. Then we had McKennie come off for Kellen Acosta, which was very strange. I would think they would have Gio Reyna to get in for McKennie. But Acosta was a very good free kick taker because he did that for LAFC. Weah, that's his position to lose. He has just been good. And then Sargent had to come off because of an injury. He kind of rolled his ankle a little bit. We don't know how serious it is, but he was in a little pain in the 78th minute. So Haji Wright came in, which was very surprising. I don't know why Haji Wright got the nod instead of Jesus Ferreira, right? And I know I sound strange of saying that. Like, why would you want an MLS guy to Haji Wright? And hear me out. For Jesus Ferreira, he has the quality, at least he has speed, and speed kills in games like this. And Haji actually it was very questionable a couple of things he did, especially at the final end of the game, where he could have just played it to the corner and then he just rolled a very weak kick towards goal. And I think he, as a professional in the European league, especially the Turkish league, you should know better. If you want to close out a game, you want to get it to the corner as much as possible, right? So as we go forward, there's another substitution in the 81st minute. We got Zimmerman and Moore on, and then we get Tim Weah and us. And basically that says to me that we're holding on for the 1-0 draw and the 1-0 win, might I say draw. And that was the most stressful 10 plus minutes that I had to endure, because knowing how Berhalter is of holding on to 1-0 leads, especially this basically took me back to the Gold Cup in 2017, in which he was just holding on for dear life for those 1-0 wins. But if you remember, those 1-0 wins, the United States would score in the second half, right? This actually reminded me so much of that Canada game in the group stage of the Gold Cup, where they scored very early and then Canada was just going attack, and we were just holding on for dear life. So and then finish it out, and 9 minutes added. That was again, it's giving me PTSD. And then Walker Zimmerman clears it. There was a moment where there was a cross and an Iranian player hits the ball, and it kind of goes through Walker Zimmerman, and it also goes through. Well, it doesn't go through Walker Zimmerman. It goes through Matt Turner, and Walker Zimmerman clears it because the ball was actually rolling towards goal, and we really thought it was going to go, but it didn't have that much speed. And then the random player was like protesting for a penalty kick, and we're like, nah, no. We saw the replay. No, even with VAR, that was not a penalty kick. And then the iconic tweet: "We're not packing our bags. We're not going home. We're moving on." And it was just a celebration, and then you kind of see that there. You see what it meant right there. It meant everything to the team, and the rest is history. The rest is history, and it was awesome. It was just awesome, just having that that moment that we just advanced. So, and here we are. We are here celebrating the win for the United States against Iran. That, by the way, I want to say, good job, Iran. Very wonderful game, and I really do hope that your families are okay as well, because this game wasn't just a game, but it was more than that for them, especially with the situation that is happening in Iran. It looks like there's a revolution going on about a regime, and I'm not here to talk about politics and stuff, but it almost felt that the reversed happened, where the incident in which a USMNT social media coordinator kind of did a modification of the Iranian flag, taking away the Islamic symbol to be in solidarity for the people that were fighting for freedom for women. And Iran was basically going to threaten the US to basically be disqualified for the World Cup, and even be banned for 10 games. But luckily, everything was settled. But then that one reporter that basically took it to the US to coach Berhalter, and then also Tyler Adams, and then also I think they talked to Walker Zimmerman and Tim Bream, and they were very rude in talking about geopolitics and stuff. Like, these players don't know anything about that. They're just focused on the football, focus on the soccer. But that eloquent, smart captain, Tyler Adams, the new Captain America, in my opinion, kind of like the Captain Falcon, like the Falcon. He just said, like, he did it, like he did the best clackback to the reporter. And I think that also motivated the players as well. You can see that from the very start of the whistle. So I salute my captain Tyler Adams, for his awesome, eloquent speech and response he did against that rude Iranian reporter. And because he says, "Excuse me, it's not called Iran, it's called Iran." I'm like, well, there's a better way of saying that. You can say, "Excuse me, can you say, instead of Iran, can you say Iran?" There's a thing called decorum, right? But anyway, it doesn't matter about that. What matters is that the United States made it to the round of 16. They go to second place because England did they did manage to win against Wales, which, in my opinion, we should have done the same thing. I think if we would have won, I think we would have had a much better situation than we were now. I thought we would have won the group, but at least we probably would have been in the same predicament. So here we go. So we got the other scores that happened earlier today. So it was Netherlands 2-0 Qatar. Let's talk about Qatar. Qatar was the worst host nation to ever be a host nation. And what I mean is that they didn't get 1 point at all. They lost all 3 of their games. Like, how bad do you have to be in soccer? Not even the United States. Like, at least they actually got 4 points, right? It's ridiculous. But, I think Qatar needs to go to the drawing board. But you had 12 years. You had 12 years to get your stuff together instead of saying, you know what, your stuff together, right? And then Ecuador, sadly, is eliminated. They were like the youngest, I believe, team of the World Cup. The only reason why the United States wasn't the youngest is because we got Tim Ream, which is like 35. He's like the grandpa of the group. So that kind of skews into a little bit older. But now the United States is the youngest team so far to make it to the knockout round. Then England thrashed Wales 3-0. And then the United States, won against Iran. And this is basically how the group is. So we got... let's see. Let's get it here. Because I'm trying to get the group here. Let's see. So, I'm trying to get the table. Here we go. So Group B. So we got England with 7 points, the United States with 5, Iran with 3, and Wales with 1. With the United States only scoring 2 goals from their 3 games, they still made it out. And England scored a total of 9 goals, I believe, because they did score 6 against Iran and then 3 against Wales, so that's 6. But they did allow 2 goals versus Iran. But if you think about it, the most consistent team in Group B was the United States, because they were the only team to get better and better in each game, right? They should have won against Wales. I think if they would have won against Wales, they probably would have had the same number of points, but the goal differential would have been in England's favor for sure. But then again, I think the United States would have been in England if they would have gone for the win instead of staying for the draw, because England was right for the picking for that second game. But I think it also has to do with experience, because this is the first time any of these players are playing their World Cup. This is their first World Cup, right? But when the next World Cup comes in 2026, when it's in the United States, watch out, guys, because once they start developing a striker, that's the most important thing. We need to develop 1, 2, or even 3 quality, just world-class strikers, and then patch up the defense, especially the center backs, and add more wingers, and add more of like the fullbacks. Watch out, man. This team is for real. And I think even some of the dual nationals might be looking at the United States as an opportunity, because many dual nationals could maybe represent European nations, South American nations, even nations, and they're like, hey, I have a chance to make it into this United States team, and the United States team could make a deep run, not only for the next World Cup, but even this one too. But those players are thinking about the next World Cup. So the United States is going to play they're going to play the Netherlands, and what ends up happening is that's going to be on Saturday at 6 or 7 a.m. So it's going to be an early game, which is going to be pretty cool. So the knockout stage, already the United States already played what it feels like. So hopefully maybe they can get a surprise against the Netherlands. I have an idea. I have a feeling that they could, right? But man, I was just so excited. You can tell that I'm excited. And I yelled, I screamed, I cried, I celebrated. I did a lot of fist bumps, high fives, hugs, like you name it, man, you name it. And there was even some people that were like honking their horns, waving the American flag. It was awesome, especially here in Los Angeles, right? But yeah. So let's see. Let's go back to the United States, and Christian Pulisic saying that he's ready. He's ready to go for Saturday, and I think he should be. Even he's not, I think he would at least be a good substitute, and that would actually be beneficial for us. I think Gio should start that game against the Netherlands and then put Christian Pulisic. So the game is going to be Netherlands versus the USA December 3rd, this Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, and it's going to be on Telemundo and Fox, so national TV event. So get that ready, guys. So it's gonna be cooking, man. We're gonna be looking at that, but for now, we just keep celebrating the Iran win, and like, there's nothing else to say. We won, and that's all that matters. At the end, that's all that matters. That they did what they were supposed to do, and then they advanced to the knockout round. So I want to say congratulations to the USA. Thank you for fighting for each other. It's a brotherhood. You can tell how tight this group is, and I can also see how mad Gio Reyna is, because he really wants to play. He wants to play. So I think with Christian's situation being questionable, there might be a perfect chance for Gio to start. But if not, then Greg is just literally playing with our hearts and minds, because I think, look, Greg, he did what he was supposed to do, make us qualify for the World Cup, but I think his substitutions could be better. I think we just have better options on the bench. And Brendan Aronson was good, but we need Gio right now. We need creative midfielders to create stuff. And then also, I need better, I would say, better play from the strikers. The strikers are the ones that are lacking right now. We haven't had one striker score a goal in this World Cup, or at all, for the United States, since Brian McBride did against Portugal in 2002 and Mexico in 2002. We haven't had a striker, a number 9 striker, score. So that's very worrisome. But we're not going to worry about that. I'll do another stream later on talking about how to prepare against Holland, and how we're going to maybe give you like my ideal lineup and what would Greg do, right? But if not, we'll do another live stream on Saturday early in the morning. I'll let you know, and let's see what US can do, hopefully with more pressure, and if they can possibly go to the quarterfinals. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. I'm still celebrating, and I hope you guys are too. Right, go USA. I hope you guys enjoy the win. Rest easy. We did it. We achieved what we were supposed to do, and hopefully there is room to achieve more and to believe more. All we have to do is believe, and believe in this team, because they believe in themselves, and we gotta believe in them. All right, so thank you so much, guys. Enjoy, stay awesome, and I'll see you on Saturday. Go USA.